We should just, before we finish, we should talk about Sai Baba and the spiritual side of your life. And it was interesting because I think you were given the book, Man of Miracles.
Yes.
When you were, was it when you were in India, you were given the book, someone gave it to you?
No, it was back, I was actually in Switzerland,
Okay.
and I had a 12-hour train journey to do, and I had nothing to read, and an Indian friend of mine said, "Oh, read this book," you know, and I was thinking, oh God, this is such a slim volume, and I speed read, this is going to be, what else am I going to do for these 12 hours on my way to Vienna? And the moment I read Man of Miracles, I had this feeling, this is the truth for me. I must go and find out that if there is somebody on this planet doing what this book says he was doing, and I'm not just talking about materializations and miracles and things, it's something to do with transformation of the heart. And this struck a chord with me, and 3 weeks later I did something that I never ever do. I leapt on a plane on my own to India, and I had such a feeling that I had a feeling he was pulling me in like a fisherman.
Sai Baba, we haven't said who it is.
Yeah, Sai Baba, yes. And for those that don't know, I mean, he's been physically off this planet about 5 years now, but he had a big mop of afro hair and wore an orange robe. And I had a feeling he was bound to go, yes, hello, I've been waiting for you, because I had this ego, of course, I had a feeling he was waiting for me. Actually, he was, but I didn't know in what sense. But he ignored me for 12 years. But I kept going back, and then I started listening to all the music in Sanskrit, which is called bhajans.
But let's start first of all, because I found interesting that when you got there, so you'd lived a life and you'd have many privileges in many ways, and then when you get there, you find the living accommodation is basic to the extreme.
Huge sheds with women, I mean, men and women were seriously segregated. Yeah, I mean, you just had your body space.
This is not your style, it's all segregation of men and women.
But then I thought, well, you know, if they're all doing it, so can I. And in fact, I had some really good times in there. I mean, you had to be careful, maybe monkeys and things. It was really, mosquitoes were the worst things in those days.
But what, I'm interested, what kind of, you get there, you read the book, you get there, you have these very basic living conditions. So what was actually keeping you there?
I listened to my heart, and something inside me said, this is right for you. I can't tell you, I mean, I've seen Sai Baba in action. There'd be thousands of people, we might be sitting, talking, blah, 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 sitting on the floor for hours, where he would come out and there would be pin drop silence. Thousands and thousands of people, pin drop silence. We weren't told to be silent. It just, he brought out this feeling of love. I've seen full-grown men and women burst into tears at the sight of him. I used to go there with my mother in her 80s. I mean, I took groups of people. I took Frankie Miller, who had that hit. Oh, darling. He went there, took him there with his wife in the wheelchair he was. So, I mean, many, many people have been there, and I just knew that this was right for me. I didn't know how it was going to play out, because I was always sitting at the back. So I've had a bad leg since I was caught in an avalanche when I was 15. And in fact, it was my bad leg that caused me to leave Jesus Christ Superstar. After a year, I couldn't stand anymore. So I was always at the back. But I was quite content just to see a little dot of his orange robe from afar, because I knew that he wanted me to be there. I just felt like I was tuned in to something that was important to me. And it radically altered my life, actually, because I came home the first trip saying to everyone, I've seen something fantastic. It's all happening in India. And everybody said I'd lost the plot, except for my parents. They said, we know you well, and if you've seen something extraordinary, we believe you. But within a few years, I started taking people out there, and they were affected too by it. Now I also get invited all over the world to go and sing and talk about him. Maybe he's always said that it's not a religion, it's his message of love. So when I go out and I do these charity concerts for free, so I go out and it's to remind people how to live life full of love and respect and gratitude, and basically open your heart.
Because you say in your book that when you got back, I think the first time from India, you started to change your lifestyle you didn't have so much excess, or you dropped the excess.
Well,
and
yes.
you got a job working in the hospice, I think.
Oh well, yes. I thought I want to be useful. I want to be helpful. So I live around the corner from the Marsden Hospital, which is the famous cancer hospital. And I go in there. What can I do? Actually, I wanted to do hospital radio because I'd had a radio show for 11 years. World music in Vienna, and I'm really good on the radio, but nobody obviously wants to let their hospital job go as the hospital radio. So I became a volunteer pushing the trolleys in and out around the wards, because actually if you're cheerful and happy, then people respond to it. And wherever I go, I don't get angry, I'm not unhappy. How can I be? Because one important lesson that Sai Baba taught me is that we are all one. I mean, you know, we're the same as everything. We're all, and I always say it's a bit like bringing it down to the simplest form of quantum physics in a way, because we're all matter and energy. There's not much difference between me and this glass of water and a plant, and you. We're all actually just energy and matter. So I have to find and respect and love in everything, in anyone. I look for the best things, I don't look for bad things. And if something is bad there, I will try and walk away from it so it doesn't affect me too much. And
you did get to meet him after 12 years.
Yes.
And you asked him a question, didn't you?
Well,
you asked him about what he says in the book.
Okay.
What's the meaning of life?
Oh, right, yes. Well, this was after you can't book an interview with Sai Baba, you have to wait till he comes to you. And already by this time I sang for him every year. I was the only Westerner that sang every year for his birthday, which was on the 23rd of November. And they always kept saying, oh no, he's not seeing people on their own for the interviews, you go in with groups, which is baloney, because he took me in alone. And a lot of people would go into Sai Baba with a shopping list of, you know, can you find a son for my daughter, or should I retire, or what should I do? I never had any questions, because I know that I was in safe hands. He guides me, or love guides me. So, but he did once say to me when I was on my own, and he said, what do you want to ask me a question? And I couldn't really think of anything too intelligent. So I just said, well, what is the meaning of it all, meaning life? And he just said 5 words, and I consider them very important. Play the game, be happy. That's all we can. We're like chess pieces on this great cosmic chessboard, and we get moved around. If we think we're doing it, we can do a bit of it, but it's some sort of cosmic force that if you tune into this love thing which breathes in with the earth, it guides you, and it will never let you down.
Play the game, be happy.
Yeah, and learn to trust in your heart.
But you've played the game, and I think you've been happy most of your life.
Mostly. Obviously, you know, you have to have some disasters and horrors and pains.
Still
I have a lot
of game, though, isn't it?
It's all a game. Yeah. But you just know that at the end of it, it'll be over, so you just have to get on with it.